What's going on, guys? Welcome to a special Renegade pop culture podcast. This is celebrating the 2013 NBC series Hannibal, which is what I consider now probably one of the best shows of the 2010s. My name is Mike. Joining me on this are our returning guest, Tyler.
Hey, yo.
And another returning guest, Billy.
What's up, guys?
So a little backstory behind this podcast. Hannibal is one of those shows that a lot of my friends, Billy included, have goaded me to watch for, I'd say at least like 4 years since the show went off the air and was available on all the various streaming services. So when it came to Netflix earlier this year, I made the decision. Okay, it's finally happening. I'm finally going to watch this series that everyone has been talking about. So, what I want to ask you guys is how did you guys get introduced to Hannibal?
I got introduced to it because it was free on Amazon Prime a couple years back, and I just felt curious because I'd seen previews for it all the time because I used to watch NBC with Parks and Recreation, and I would always remember dramatic narrator voice going like, "Yep, and on a 10 is Hannibal." And I heard good reviews, but I also was skeptical because the concept just seemed awful, like a prequel to the Thomas Harris novels, written by some guy I didn't really know too well, but it really worked out very well, and I got hooked.
Nice. Billy?
Well, much like you, Mike, I was at a period in my life watching everything, and then I heard about Hannibal, and I was like, okay, this kind of sounds stupid, but I'll give it a shot. And I actually watched it when it premiered, and then I was blown away. Like, I had never thought that NBC of all places would create like this show that just looks like, it looks like art. The show, like how it's shot and everything, I was just blown away. And then, of course, the writing, everything ended up just being great. I didn't know who Bryan Fuller was at the time, but I quickly learned his work after watching the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looking into Bryan Fuller's previous credits, it at first glance the show doesn't. It seems like it's going against type because he's known mostly for dark comedies, but then as you watch the show, you see a lot more of his sensibilities. For example, the star is Mads Mikkelsen, who just picked up the role of Grindelwald after Johnny Depp left the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Mikkelsen and Hugh Dancy as Will Graham, they get a lot of like very darkly comedic moments. Now for this episode, we're mostly just going to be talking about season 1, which I'll admit is one of the weaker seasons, but still compared to other shows in its genre is still like leagues ahead.
Oh yeah, I would agree. The best comparison point is the very first season of Justified, also because it's an episodic series at first, that then eventually goes into a more storyline centric series. But even as it stands, it's top tier. Case of the week.
Yeah, I mean, really, it looks like a true crime thing, like a David Fincher movie or something like that. And I liked that it was told from a fellow Will Graham's perspective, really. So you never really could tell what was real or not, because they made it very clear that he's not quote unquote normal. So I mean, like, they have it through the show, because he empathizes with serial killers, and he can get inside their heads. And the irony is that his friend and therapist is a serial killer, but nobody knows it, and that's Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I love how right in the first episode you basically get the gist of what Will's like specialty is. Not only can he get like, not only do they illustrate quite clearly that he gets inside the heads of serial killers, but you actually get to see like you get to see the crime scene play out as he's like investigating, and I really love that like that visual design, so to speak.
Oh yeah, the visual design is one of those notable aspects of the series where you just kind of sit there and go through his extreme empathy and somehow be able to reconstruct the crime scene, but it takes a mental toll on him, which is actually somewhat inspired by the real life subject it's based on, which is the FBI special agent John E. Douglas, who was also the basis for Mindhunter.
Yeah, and I also just like, they introduced characters from the Red Dragon book, Will Graham, Hannibal Lecter, Jack Crawford, played brilliantly by Lawrence Fishburne. And I always found this interesting. I learned that Hannibal was either going to be played by Mads Mikkelsen or David Tennant.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I thought they made a really good choice with Mads Mikkelsen, because he looks like he could hide something a lot better than, I know David Tennant could have done it great because David Tennant's amazing, but I think that Mads Mikkelsen was the best choice because I can't really see anybody else playing Hannibal in this series.
One thing I like about Mikkelsen's casting is that they chose an actor who is foreign to, like they chose a foreigner to play this like socialite, yet I'm hard pressed to call Hannibal a psychopath, but because they even go to great lengths to say he's not a psychopath because he's in control.
Yeah, he's more psychotic than anything.
Yeah. Still, the cast for this series is incredible. We've talked about our two main players, but I want to continue talking about the supporting cast. For example, Jack Crawford, played by the great Lawrence Fishburne, and two characters that I learned doing research were actually like gender flips. One, we have the tabloid blogger Freddie Lowndes.
Yes, Freddie is great.
And the other is Dr. Alana Bloom, played by Caroline de Havernas. I don't know how to.
I always say Haverness.
Haverness, okay.
I always
go with
think
Haverness
like
too.
I always say it's like Django Unchained, just the D is silent.
But yeah, those two characters ended up becoming some of my favorites. What about you guys?
Oh, for me, my favorite of side characters was without question Jack Crawford. He embodied all the mannerisms that you would want from all the other depictions, but also made him a little bit more relatable than the depiction that you would see in something like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, Jack Crawford is really good. First, I was just surprised that Lawrence Fishburne, I didn't know he did really television because, he's mostly known for doing, he's done television, but it's not really his main thing, because he mostly does movies. But I'm glad that they chose him. And then also a character that we haven't mentioned yet, is one of my favorites, is Beverly Katz, who is Hettienne Park, and she's great. She's a crime scene investigator as well, just very likable, and I think brings a sense of playfulness, really. Because the tone for this series is very serious, because they're dealing with serial killers, and I think that's the perfect tone. But you gotta have some moments of lighthearted fun, and
Oh yeah,
and that's where I think Bryan Fuller's dark comedy comes in, because it's a lot of dark comedy, more than people expect. And yeah, also all of the food scenes are exquisite.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the food in a minute, but I also want to throw some praise at the like the sassy scientists, as some people have called them. That's Dr. Katz, Zeller and Price, who are played by Aaron Abrams and Scott Thompson.
Oh yeah, they throw a lot of shade, more than you would probably expect from people like that.
There's also one character we haven't mentioned who was apparently an original creation to the series, Dr. Bedelia du Maurier, played by Gillian Anderson.
Oh, how can we forget her?
Oh yeah, Bryan Fuller. He clearly just loves Gillian Anderson. She shows up in a lot of her projects, and this is probably the most fun she ever had in any of them.
Yeah, like a fine wine. She just, the more she ages, the better she gets.
Yeah, she's in her late 50s now, and I couldn't tell.
52 apparently.
Oh really? See, I can't even tell. I have no idea what her age is.
I mean, it's Agent Scully. So there's also just like, I always like that she does these roles that are kind of not she's not really FBI. She is Hannibal's psychiatrist. And I like that there's somebody that can match wits with him, because they make it very clear early on that Hannibal is very smart, and like not just book smart, but he's also, he can get into people's heads without them even knowing it, which that's a detail that I really liked. And that's something that Hannibal Lecter does, because like throughout this series, you see him use that to his advantage, and especially with Will, because he takes advantage of Will's vulnerability, and it's really good dialogue as well that he is given, and it's like a delectable piece of flesh.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do love about the show, is that it makes characters intelligent but doesn't go the easy route, because screenwriting 101 for showing how someone's smart is have them play chess and win, or write a formula on the board. That's like the shorthand. But this one, no, they go deeper into psychological analysis and how he kind of figures out people and manipulates it. It's clever.
And apparently, like a lot of those scenes in therapy were written from real experience with Bryan Fuller in therapy, specifically the episodes with Dan Fogler's character. I think his name was like Franklin something.
So something like that. Really, that makes sense. You remember from your own experiences the most of all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dan Fogler is also great. Just if you haven't seen Fanboys, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Oh yeah, he was in that movie. Yeah, with Kristen Bell.
Yeah, I haven't seen Fanboys in a long time, but yeah, Fogler's really good. Now the reason I consider this personally the weakest season is because, even though the main overarching story is Hannibal and Will's relationship and Hannibal's manipulation of Will throughout the season, this feels the most like a more elevated version of something like Bones, or any other any standard procedural, but just with better writing and amazing visuals.
Yeah, I think that the visuals really do tell the story once you know the context behind it, which it's gradually revealed, because like Tyler said at first, this is very episodic. It's a killer of the week sort of thing. And a lot of people that I didn't expect to be in this series are just like really good, like Molly Shannon and Eddie Izzard.
Izzard was the biggest surprise, but he ended up being one of my favorite characters in more so season 2 than this one. Although his introduction is still great.
Oh yeah, and I need to mention about the visuals. Is there any other TV show that did like dream sequences better? Because I really don't think any other show mastered it as well. It's almost like they started cribbing from like the Max Payne game series, but then just kept improving the quality. I've seen video games rip off the dream sequences from Hannibal. It's that good.
Yeah, unlike other series, the dream sequences here, like they actually feel like nightmares.
Oh, especially with that Wendigo.
Oh god, yeah, the Wendigo and like the deer. Yeah.
Yeah, I also like that all the episode titles are food related.
Yep.
They kept that through the entire series. It was just food, real puns, and it's perfect.
Yeah, like the first season, I think it's just it's cuisine.
Yeah, each episode in season 1 is named after is named after some sort of cuisine. Like episode 1 is named um aperitif. I'm pretty sure that they're all French words as well.
Yep.
As the French cooking is considered the best of the best, and certainly with the food scenes, the cooking is very excellent. I mean, it just looks appetizing.
Yeah, but if I recall correctly, the naming convention was the first season it's all French names, and then the second one it's Japanese, and then the third one it's Italian, except for the last few episodes, which starts having more normal sounding titles.
Yeah, the second half of season 3, the titles are like apparently those were based on the 4 Great Red Dragon pictures.
Yeah, for sure. And really, the second half of season 3, it's an entirely different season.
Yeah.
We'll get into that when we get into season 3, but right now we're season 1. And I also really like the opening, just like the complete white background, and it's all red, and the colors are used very well.
Now, do you think that red is blood or wine or both?
It's ambiguous.
I like to think it's both.
Yeah, I'd say the same.
Yeah, of course. Like the first scene we even get of Hannibal is with red wine at a dinner table. Why not? Actually, both introduction scenes kind of summarize the characters very well. One with he's talking about food at a dinner table, and then with Will Graham, it's at a crime scene. It's these characters at their basic level.
I want to make sure I had the name of the like the culinary advisor. It's Jose Andres,
The secret hero.
Yeah, he's a Spanish American chef and founder of the World's Central Kitchen. So if you're wondering how like every meal looks as good as it does, like his influence is very much felt.
Mm.
Yeah, I also just another character that, I mean, he's only in one episode, I think, but Tobias, Dan Fogler's friend, he's also great.
Oh, the cellist or the cello player.
Yes, he is equally as smart and as cultured as Hannibal as well.
The death in that episode is one of the more gruesome that I've seen, at least in this season.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, we haven't surprisingly talked about the violence yet, which is, please remember, this was an NBC show, because you will need to remind yourself that time and time and time and time again.
Yeah, I was really surprised with how much they got away when you think about that this was on network television. It's pretty close to, there's not really any nudity, but there's a lot of like body violence, like with guts and blood and all that stuff. It's actually pretty graphic when you
and they get away with a lot of eating people. They don't shy away from that too much. It's like, nope, that person just got eaten.
Yeah, and I was really surprised about that, and that's another reason why I kept watching. I was just like, oh man, and they I like all the different kinds of killers that they go after as well.
Yeah, that's something that I like. I love the variety. It's not just um it's not just the standard crime scene of like, oh, he was murdered on a Tuesday um at this time. Like they really go into they they treat murder like an art. Each each victim has been like either decapitated or like mutilated, but in a very creative fashion.
Yeah, it's
Like I think one of the best examples we see in episode 2, where the victims become like mushroom farms.
yeah. It sounds horrifying, but again, it's that sort of supreme macabre humor that kind of makes it work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you are right. It is all French food. Because I see these episode titles, sorbet, entree, uh, potage. I'm pretty sure I'm effing up the pronunciation. And oh yeah, the story with Abigail Hobbs is really the main arc this season. The main through line.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was done really well because the girl that plays Abigail is also pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Really, there's nobody I actually would say that's actually out of place where I'm like, well, why is this person here? Everyone fits their role like a glove.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There is one character we haven't talked about yet who at first I didn't really like. It's Dr. Frederick Chilton, played by Raul Esparza. He seemed like one of those needlessly cruel characters who's just there to basically act as nothing but a foil to Hannibal and Will. But as the series progresses, I really start to enjoy his back and forths with the other characters.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's something that the series really shines in is just the every relationship feels very personal, and they all feel like friends. They're all colleagues, but a lot of them do feel like friends. Like everybody seems to genuinely care about Will's well-being and how that deteriorates throughout this season, and especially the next season.
Mm.
It's really heartbreaking because you can tell that Will is just a really good guy. He just has this condition that he has to live with, and he thinks he's getting help through Hannibal, but Hannibal's actually making it worse.
Yeah, he is fundamentally a good guy who keeps pushing himself to the limit to help others, which is causing horrific damages to himself, which, it's a remarkable quality. He's a likable character. You really hope he gets better, but then you look at a therapist and you already know he's not going to get any better.
So something I like about this show is the like pretty much across the board gray morality. Like Will he's like the designated protagonist, but he kills Abigail's father in like the first episode, and like he has to live with that for the rest of the series. And as you guys said, guys like Jack and Hannibal are pushing him for what they consider the greater good, saving lives, but
Greater good.
A greater good.
but we know that's obviously doing like it's doing harm to his physical and mental health.
Oh, and they show that like on multiple occasions, which I do appreciate that they really just highlight a lot of like mental illness as well.
Yeah, but it's not in a very stigmatized manner either. It's a more understanding, like, well, he has problems, but people want to help him. He's not terrible because of this condition. It's other outlying factors. And unlike other shows, we'll just have a character go like, "Well, I'm depressed. I don't feel too good." No, this show is all about visualizing everything.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best example of show don't tell, especially with a subject matter as nuanced as dealing with mental health and how that affects everything around you, from your professional to personal relationships. The show is a lot smarter, even in what I consider the weakest season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I also like that it's not a super long season. It's not like a CW show, which has like 24, 25 episodes. No. These are like 13 episodes. Most of them are one-offs, but there is a main story. And, it actually does carry well into the next season.
Yeah, could you
Like-
imagine if this has been like plotted like Lost, where it's like 25 episodes a season? This would fail so fast.
Yeah, there's no way this would have lasted as long as it did if they dragged out if they dragged out the Abigail Hobbs subplot for any longer than they did here. Yeah, people would have tuned out like halfway through.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever see Hannibal quite like, he plays himself off as like the good guy, and he's generally kind to everybody. And then really, I think it's this season and the next season where we don't see him as like the Hannibal Lecter that we know. We just see him more as like gaslighting and emotionally manipulating Will very early on. And I think this season really just it's good at establishing our main characters and stuff. I will actually defend Lost's first season. There's a million people in Lost, so it kind of had to be that long.
Oh yeah, this one's like this. The cast is not 30 main characters, so
No, that's the difference. It's that they have like 4 or 5 main characters, and they establish them pretty well. And then there's just, the killing of the week, cut with Hannibal making dinner, and seeing a piece of Will's psyche just get shattered a little bit. He sort of dies every week.
Pretty much.
very much so. You really feel bad for that poor guy.
He gets really sweaty towards the end as well. It's
Oh,
like,
very much.
it's
yeah.
like, my God, Will, just like get some sleep or something.
I wonder how they took that to Hugh Dancy. He's like, okay, you're gonna put on like, I don't know, 5 layers of clothing in like 70-degree weather, and then we're gonna take it off real quick. Like, how did he look that sweaty? He looks like he just ran a marathon in some of those scenes.
But I think that works to his character's advantage, because he is supposed to be like losing it, like losing sleep. He can't tell what's real or not, and Hugh Dancy just does a really good job.
I think one of my favorite visual cues of Will losing his grasp on reality is when he's asked to draw a clock. You first see him draw like a regular clock, but then when they reveal what he allegedly drew, it's like the clock with like all the numbers on like one side, because like his like depth perception is off.
Oh,
However they explained it.
yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me of an episode of Firefly where like River has she thinks she has a stick, and is just treating it very casually, but then it cuts to everybody else and they're like, "River, what are you doing?" And it actually turns out that she has a gun.
Oh God, I remember that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, it was one of the unaired episodes, and yeah, it's very much like that, where this person's not well, but you're along for the ride because it's told from primarily their perspective. Like from their perspective, everything is fine, but from the outside and what reality is, it's not. So I liked that ambiguous, like what is real, what is not. And I think it's funny that Lawrence Fishburne is in it, because he's in the Matrix, which is all about that.
And they never made one joke about anything like that. They never made it as like, do you question reality, Will? They never do that.
But speaking of Firefly, one of Jack Crawford's subplots in this season involves, at the time, his real life wife, played by Gina Torres. His wife is diagnosed with cancer, so they have a little bit of a subplot this season where Jack and Bella are kind of confronted with I guess their new reality now that she's been diagnosed, and how she wants to keep her husband at arm's length. I found that really really tragic. And Billy, how much cancer how much cancer really really affects people in our community.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's affected everybody in some way, whether they know it or not. Somebody might, either they've gone through it themselves, or they know somebody that's gone through it, or it's a terrible, terrible thing that I wish that we all didn't have to experience. But I could be wrong, but in my experience, that has not been the case, unfortunately. And I really wish it wasn't.
Yeah. And that scene really came across as like someone who understands what they're writing about. So I only have to assume that Bryan Fuller must have known somebody who went through this, because that felt way too just empathetic to not have some understanding of the concept.
Yeah, I have to imagine that was drawn from a real experience, because it felt too real as I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that empathy is really a theme for this season in particular.
Yeah.
Because we empathize with Will, we sort of empathize with Jack, we empathize with Hannibal a little.
We definitely empathize with Abigail.
Oh,
yes.
for sure. And then you get the killer's perspective as well.
Yeah, we understand them.
It's not a usual thing that most shows do.
Yeah, this is the show that does not care for like stereotypes, where it's like, oh yeah, he just kills people because. But no, they always get into the psychological detail, and it's like, and this is the case with real life serial killers too, where if you read their whole backstory, you'll go, oh, I kind of feel sorry for you, but then they go ahead and do terrible things, and the empathy fades, but it's a little bit there, and even the way he visualizes crime, it's extreme empathy is what he calls it. So empathy is a big theme of this season.
Now,
it's kind of
one thing the show makes perfectly clear is that there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. We're not sympathizing with these killers because they're killers. They have done morally
heinous.
Morally heinous crimes, but we understand how they get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
A lesser writer would have turned like every serial killer into I don't know, some like tragic killer, like tragic villain. Like it's not like this is a series full of Zuko's, but
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least like
some of
at least we get to see their thought process, so we can understand how to apprehend them.
I think.
Is he?
Oh no. What I wanted to mention is that also there's a good jumping point, because the series it's based on is a character. The character is sympathetic because the character had a terrible backstory, but then he's murdering women, so you can't really feel sorry for him.
I think it's the other way around.
Or sorry, they're mixing them up. But the source material is ripe, full of characters that fit this series. So all this talk of empathy with the material, it was a perfect combination.
Yeah, and I like that the Fuller curse didn't happen during this first season.
Yes, that's something we need to mention, because almost every project that Bryan Fuller touches, either he gets fired, he leaves, or it gets canceled. That didn't happen with this series, thank God.
Well, not at first.
Well, not at first, yeah.
Is this the only series in which he stayed on for all 3 seasons?
I think so. Yeah, because Pushing Daisies was canceled because of the writer's strike, and
which is
then
so infuriating.
then he left during development of Discovery. If he had stayed, that would have been an infinitely better show.
Yes.
And instead we got freaking Kurtzman and
American Gods.
American Gods. He left after the first season, and then that's turned into a train wreck.
That show, not to go on a tangent, is that curse stayed with that show, because that show is going through the biggest slow motion train wreck I think I've ever seen in my life. Where it's premiering soon-ish, I guess, and at this point I'm just sitting here wondering who's gonna leave, who's gonna quit, who's gonna get fired, what bad thing's gonna happen now.
I honestly forgot that show is still in the air.
I know, it's a genuine
It casts a bad shadow, Moon.
It also had Gillian Anderson, and she left that first season.
Yeah, and it was a Stars show, so you would think this show would be on Stars, but nope, NBC. Right after Parks and Rec, or The Voice. Totally fits.
Yeah, I still don't understand how and why they chose NBC to broadcast this, but the fact that it lasts as long as it did just amazes me.
Yeah, I'm not sure NBC even knew how to market it, because if you want to look back at how the trailers and commercials were like, they had no idea how to market this to an audience.
I mean, to be fair, it is kind of difficult to market this on a main network.
Yeah, it was like Netflix. It'd be like murder, fun. But then with this show, it's like, here's some food. Here's the close up of Matt Mikkelsen. Here's talk about some murder. They don't know how to market this.
Angry cannibal noises.
So let's say someone listening to this podcast has never seen the show before.
Spoilers, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, spoilers.
Oh yeah. If you haven't seen this, then yeah, be warned. There will be lots of spoilers.
Should probably have said that before, but what are you gonna do?
At this point, it's too late. But what are some of your favorite episodes from this season? I know we gave a lot of praise to the pilot, which it's one of my favorite pilots that really does a good job completely setting the scene.
Yeah, that was a great pilot. For me, I really did like the I think what was the episode? I think it was called the 6th episode. I think it was called Entree or something like that. That was a really fun episode with Eddie Izzard. That was his premiere episode.
Oh yeah, that's the one where we meet who they all think is the Chesapeake Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
But we learned soon after that is not the case.
Yeah, and that's when we also got introduced to Dr. Chilton.
Yeah, that episode set up a lot of people very well. That episode always stuck out to me. It's just a really good episode.
I kind of like the one with Lance Henriksen.
Oh, that was a good one too.
I think it's called True Normand.
Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
I just like it because Lance Henriksen is great and everything. It's a one-off episode, but I really liked it, and it does have a pretty good Will story as well. Like it advances the Abigail Hobbs story a little bit.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Honestly, aside from the pilot and Entree, I think one of the more fascinating episodes is episode 4. This is the one that features Molly Shannon, as they don't give her a name in the series, but a lot of fans refer to her as Wendy because she picks up a bunch of children who I guess are referred to as the Lost Boys. Fun fact about this episode: this was originally banned from its original broadcast, only to be restored later once the series was available on iTunes and other digital platforms.
Oh, really? Was it the only episode they ever did that?
I think so.
I mean, I can understand, but I'm like, if that's the only episode you do it, it's a couple episodes down the road. I can definitely imagine why they would want to do that.
Oh, wait. The episode was originally set to be broadcast on April 25th, 2013. However, 5 days earlier, the episode was pulled from the United States broadcast schedule at the request of creator Bryan Fuller.
Really?
Yeah.
I think this was also because of the Sandy Hook massacre.
Yeah, that has to be why.
Oh God, yeah, that's probably it because that was really recent at the time.
Yeah, some people thought that it was because of the Boston Marathon bombing, but that was not the case. Fuller, it was also, it's very graphic as well. This episode in particular.
It's one of the more graphic episodes, actually.
Yeah, Fuller's comments specifically, he says, with this episode, it wasn't about the graphic imagery or violence. It was the associations that came with the subject matter that I felt would inhibit the enjoyment of the overall episode. It was my own sensitivity. We want to be respectful of the social climate we're in right now. And that's the part that interested me the most. It wasn't the network that took it down. It was Fuller himself who said, "Nah, I'm not comfortable showing this right now."
I think that was a very smart move.
How often do you see that?
Not very. It's usually the studio kind of makes the decision for you.
I think that was really smart on his part because this episode was, it's very good, but the subject matter is very, sensitive. Let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the bad timing, I agree, it wasn't an appropriate time to air. So I respect Fuller for doing that to his own creation. He has valid reasons for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mad respect to Fuller for taking that into his own hands.
Yeah, I everyone always says he's a very difficult guy to work with, and that's probably true, but I don't think he's a bad guy personally.
Yeah. Well, he might be difficult to work with, but man, is he a great artist.
Oh yeah.
Stanley Kubrick was the same way. He was very difficult.
He's definitely comparable, especially with the amount of projects that he's lost over the years.
Yeah. And I just want to make a stupid joke. What's Hannibal's favorite dessert?
Ooh, what?
Danish.
We're all about the dad puns here.
Yeah, just look up Mads Mikkelsen. You'll understand the context, like his nationality and everything.
And any other episodes or moments from season 1 that you want to mention?
A lot of my favorites are in the next season, but I do really like the finale.
Oh yeah, that's a good finale.
Yeah, the finale is an example of something else I love about this series. The setups and the payoffs are done exceptionally well.
Yeah, I mean it ends pretty badly for Will, but really good for Hannibal.
I think every season except for the end, like they all end terribly for Will.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
But I think specifically what I love about the season 1 finale is where the action takes place. It's basically in the exact same spot that Will killed Garrett Hobbs in the first episode.
Yeah, so that's that great goes around comes around sort of thing, and it's using familiar locations, and I like that. It's like poetry; they rhyme.
You gotta make Hannibal work because he's a funnier character. Not even remotely, but
I mean, like he's got some. He's pretty cheeky. This humor.
Oh yeah, he has some really.
He's got a very quick wit. Like
yes,
like he will outsmart you like 90% of the people in the room.
Oh yeah, you'd be great at open mic night because if anyone tried to heckle him, you wouldn't win.
Oh yeah,
open mic night. I thought we were doing that right now.
Any other final thoughts before we wrap up season 1?
I'll say this, which is there's a lot of collaborators that you see with Bryan Fuller that shows up in this season and later seasons, but one we never got was Kristen Chenoweth, and I'm sad because I would have loved to see some shortcake pie, puns.
I just think it was a finely cooked steak with some nice red wine and some delicious dessert. Really. I think it's excellent television and happy cannibal noises. There we
Yeah,
go.
I'm gonna
Yes,
sum up the season
my compliments to the chef for
in
a delectable 3-season meal,
yeah,
of which we had the first course.
if I was to sum up this season as a meal, it's escargot. I don't expect much, but then I try it and it's absolutely delicious, but it makes me want to have more.
Yeah, and the ending to season 1 definitely leaves you wanting more.
Oh yeah.
And that's exactly what we will be doing. Stay tuned for our next installment where we talk about the greatest season of probably one of the most perfect seasons of television,
Yeah,
at least in the 2010s.
it's comparable to season 6 of Breaking Bad.
So before we head out, where can everyone find you online? Billy, I'll start with you.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at bbusterbill. All the B's are capitalized. You can find me on Instagram at Billy Batson's Lightning. Nothing is capitalized. And I also do my own podcast, See You Next Summer, with my co-host Raul Rodriguez.
Mm.
It's been a lot of fun. We just talk movies and whatever the heck we want. And this month in November, we are talking about Mexican movies, or like, films in Spanish, because my Raul is Mexican and all that stuff. He wanted me to do it. But you can also follow that Twitter at SYNS All right, Tyler.
You can find me at BioWD on Twitter. I'm usually talking with either Broadway people or historians, in that order, I'm sure. You can find me in the Facebook group for Renegade Pop Culture, and you can also find me on my YouTube channel, Debunk File, where I'm hard at work at the moment creating a video that's about a project I've been working on for the last 6 months that should be coming out the 27th of November.
Nice. And you
Yeah.
guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Captain K42. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. Find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. Check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Check out all our podcasts on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll be it for this episode of the Hannibal Retrospective. We will catch you guys later. Peace.